and have a good time. Haribol.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Trinadapi Sunichena Taradeva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Harinama 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 Eva Kevalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatir Anyata. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So next weekend is the Gita Yagya Gita Jayanti. So I would like to speak on Bhagavad-gita tonight, get you inspired for next weekend. Bhagavad-gita contains 700 slokas, and there are 18 chapters. And in the 18th and final chapter, we come to the conclusion. So there is a series of verses leading up to the conclusion of Bhagavad-gita, which I would like to speak to you. So the 18th chapter is entitled Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. Moksha means liberation, of which there are 5 kinds. And sannyas means to renounce material sense gratification and to dedicate one's life completely to spiritual activities. So this particular section we pick up in chapter 18. There is the biggest chapter. There are 78 shlokas in chapter 18. We pick up on text number 54. I think this audience is advanced enough, so you can repeat. Good to see you after a long time. Please repeat. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. See, you proved my point. Thank you. Na shochati na kankshati samak sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakting labate param. So this verse describes somebody who is Brahma Bhuta. Brahma Bhuta means you have achieved spiritual realization. Brahma Bhuta means now you're on the equal level spiritually with God. So there, Bhagavad-gita is a science textbook, spiritual science. So you can detect, you can judge your own advancement if you know the appropriate symptoms. So this verse describes the symptoms of someone who is spiritually realized. So, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. Everybody say Prasanatma. Prasanatma. Prasanatma means you're jolly, you're happy. Now, the next line. Na shochati, na kankshati. What does that mean? You don't lament, you don't hanker for anything in the material world. Yes, you will hanker for Krishna. You will hanker for devotional service. That's a cue for somebody. But in terms of the material world, nothing to lament, nothing to hanker. You're not interested. Samak sarveshu bhuteshu. And you see everyone equally. This concept was addressed also in chapter 5. Pandita sama darshana. Oh, you know Bhagavad-gita. No, I'm looking at you. You know exactly what I'm watching you. You're answering the questions. You get 2 dings. Yes, preaching is a two-way street. You're looking at me, but I'm also looking at you. And by looking at you, I can tell, okay, don't do that, do this. So, you see everyone equally, but there is no equality on the material platform. No. The equality is on the spiritual platform. How is that equality? We're all part and parcel of Krishna. That was stated in chapter 15 by Krishna, that all living entities are his parts and parcels. So that's why when you get initiated in this movement, those in India, you know, Gotra, your family lineage. But when you come to Krishna consciousness, now you all join the same Gotra, Achyuta Gotra. Everybody say Achyuta. Achyuta is another name for God, which means he never falls down. Even Krishna comes to this material world, he doesn't fall down. He's not under the jurisdiction of the laws of nature. So, when you are, and this is very popular now, when you're woke, yes, when you come to Krishna consciousness, you truly become woke. We have one song, Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole. Lord Chaitanya is saying, wake up. Yes, Lord Chaitanya is the original founder of the woke philosophy. But his wokeness is not, again, not on the material plane. It's on the spiritual plane. Tamasi ma Jyotir Gama, one of the Vedic mantras. Come out of the darkness, go into the light. What is the light? There it is. God, the scriptures, the devotees. That's the light. Darkness means identifying with the material world, trying to enjoy the material world, seeing yourself as a member of this material world. But when you're woke, no, we're all part and parcel. We're all children of God. Mud, now here comes the most important line. Mud bhakting labate param. The real test of a Brahmabhuta or self-realized person, they engage in bhakti. Bhakti is the consistent theme in Bhagavad-gita. At least in 3 places, Krishna says, you want to see me? Bhakti. You want to return to me? Bhakti. You want to know and understand me? Bhakti. There's no options here. This is what Krishna says. So, the proof of a self-realized person always engaged in devotional service. Bhakti means devotional activities. There is a song, my favorite bhajan. Shravana Kirtana Smarana Vandana Pada Sevana Dasyare Pujana Shakijana Atmanivedana. The 9 processes of bhakti, which you're doing one right now. Hearing, Hearing is the beginning. That's why this class is important. You're hearing the science of God, Bhagavad-gita. Earlier, you were doing deity worship. You were worshiping the deity, getting the darshan. And you were also kirtanam. So already tonight you did 3 of the 9 items of devotional service. You're hearing, and during the arti you were worshiping, archanam, and kirtanam, chanting. So a devotee is engaged always. 1, 2, 3, up to 9 processes. But even 1 is sufficient for perfection. Parikshit Maharaj, he became perfect just by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And different devotees are given as examples of perfection. All right, let's go to the next verse, because this section is got such nice verses. Please repeat, if you would please indulge me. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Come on now, that's only a few. Yavanyaschasmi tatvataha. I'm only hearing the women. Come on, men. Jeev Jago. Tato mang tatvato gyatva. Vishate tad anantaram. So I just mentioned that at least 3 places Krishna points out bhakti. So here is perhaps the strongest. He says, Krishna is speaking to Arjuna, one can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service, bhakti. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he or she can enter the kingdom of God. Vaikuntha. The kingdom of God is described by the word Vaikuntha. The place where there is no anxiety. Like this temple room. Anybody in anxiety right now? And after the lecture, when you're taking prasadam, will anybody be in anxiety? Yes. Prabhupada intended that his temples would be embassies of the kingdom of God. The material world, which we have to exist in, that is kunta loka. The whole world is full of anxiety. You not take my word for it. Turn on the news. After 1 minute, oh God. I don't know about you, but each day seems to get worse and worse. It's astounding. Just when you think, no, it can't get any bad. What? What? Yeah, after a while you just got to, enough. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. So the material world it's designed that way to be full of anxiety indeed. In chapter 8, Krishna told Arjuna, anywhere you go in this universe, you can go to the topmost planet, to the lowest planet in between, all are places dukhalayam. They're all more or less places of dukkha, suffering. And everything here in this material world, temporary. You have a good job, you love your job, but just like my wife, January 1st, bye-bye. No job. Nothing is steady here. Now, I know you don't, but say you invest in crypto. How is it looking? I knew from the start that's going to be a massive ripoff. I knew it. And you know the news, right? Billions wiped off. Wiped off. Material world. Prabhupada's guru said, what is the material world? It is a place of the cheaters and the cheated. But if you read Bhagavad-gita, you won't get cheated. Well, not only read Bhagavad-gita, you've got to follow it. You have to live Bhagavad-gita. Then you won't get cheated. So let's go now, because there's a few verses. I'll try one more time. Let's see if we can get into it. Sarva karmani api sada. Very good. You bounce back. Kurvano madhyapasrayaha. Mat prasadad avapnoti. Shasvatang padam avyayam. Although engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotee, under my protection, reaches that eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. So yes, we do need the grace of God. It's not a mechanical thing. You can do all the rituals, you can do everything, but ultimately, you need the blessings of God. So here is Krishna is telling, yes, as a devotee, you engage in all kinds of activities, but you keep yourself under Krishna's protection. Those of you who know, when the Govardhan Leela was performed, Indra was attacking the residents of Vrindavan with torrents of rain and hail and blistering winds. But the residents of Vrindavan, beginning with the cows, who did they go for protection? Krishna, Govinda. And Krishna obliged by lifting Govardhan Hill. Here's my umbrella. Come underneath. Take protection. Krishna protects his devotees. So, that is the symptom of a devotee. Whenever there is danger, immediately, Hare Krishna. Immediately. I'm fortunate, I am fortunate that whenever I'm driving in the car with my wife, if there's any slight problem, Hare Krishna, she can't stand my driving. And I keep telling her, you know, when you do that, you're going to cause an accident. But she sits next to me in the car. She's holding on like this. And if I don't stop in time, if I don't put my blinker on, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But she has that consciousness. Take shelter of Krishna. So if you read the Krishna book or the Srimad Bhagavatam, time and time again, whenever there's some danger, whenever there's some problem, the residents of Vrindavan, even the animals, immediately take shelter of Krishna. And here it's described, Krishna's abode is eternal and imperishable, unlike here, right? Now, I don't know, do you ever get forest fires here in San Diego?
Oh, yeah.
You get, so same way with the rest of California. Yes, at any moment, and we all know, this is wood, right? Right, we all know what could come any minute. The big one, terremoto. You know what is terremoto? Earthquake. Right, they've been predicting it for 30 years. The big one is coming. I was in a terremoto back in 2010. I had just gotten these new teeth, and I was in Santiago, Chile. And it was the day before Gaur Purnima. And I was staying in someone's apartment. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, I got jolted out of bed. It sounded like a train was coming through the corridor. and it knocked me out of my bed, and the building was shaken. I never chanted Hare Krishna as good as that day. I immediately, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. And in the next room, I could hear my host. The lady was chanting, but not the husband. But I could hear the lady chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna. And that earthquake went on for, seemed like 12 years or more. It wouldn't, of course it was only a minute, but it seems like that. And then what happens? After that, your nerves are shot. So even though the earthquake has stopped, if you hear any crack, Hare Krishna. If you're brushing your teeth and you hear a little, Hare Krishna. So and when that happened, for the next, weeks, I was always lecturing on that line from the Bhaja Mana song. Komola dala jala jivana talamala. Life is just like a drop of water on the lotus leaf. It does not stand. At any moment, enters the water. Same thing, 9/11. I remember I didn't get up early, so my daughter called on the phone. Pitta, wake up, turn on the TV. And just as I turned on the TV, the second airplane hit the second tower. And then within a matter of moments, the whole building came crumbling down. Immediately, Kobola dala jala, jivana talamala. Life is so very flickering. But Krishna's abode, eternal. No earthquakes. No too high temperature. Like some parts of the country now, freezing cold. Not in Krishna's abode. It's eternal and imperishable. Okay, let's do another verse. Chetasa sarva karmani Mayi sanyasya matpara Buddhi yogam upasritya Machchitta satatang bhava. In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. So, to me, this series of verses, it's the conclusion of Gita. It's the conclusion. So, again, he mentioned in chapter 9, Yat karoshi yadashnasi yat juhosi dadasiyat yat tapasyasya konteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do it for me, Krishna. Krishna is now repeating that message. In all activities, just depend upon me. Now, Prabhupada points out, it's not that on the chariot, Arjuna told Krishna, okay, Krishna, I'm going to sit here and smoke ganja, and you fight the war for me. No. Arjuna had to do his work. Arjuna had to shoot the arrows. Arjuna had to fight the war. It's not that Krishna did everything. Yes, Krishna did everything, sanctioning, but Arjuna had to do his part. And that's for us also. We have to do our end of the bargain. We have to do our duties. We all have duties to perform. No one can escape. We have duties. But ultimately, we depend on Krishna. Working under Krishna's protection means following Krishna's instructions. That's why we read Bhagavad-gita daily. And the goal is to be conscious of Krishna. That's why it's called the Krishna consciousness movement. The whole idea is to somehow or other, always remember Krishna, and more importantly, don't forget him. That's why we chant on our beads every day. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Many times I've given the example, all these big athletes, whether football or basketball players, before the game, they're in the gym, they're on the practice field for hours, bouncing a ball or throwing a ball. They're already expert, but every day, and some of them, I know for a fact, they get up just like devotees. Devotees get up 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. These mega athletes are also in the gym 4 o'clock in the morning, bouncing a ball and doing what is called reps, repetitions. And just like the brahmacharis, they take a cold shower, right, brahmacharis? Take a cold shower. These athletes also take a cold shower. They've learned that from the devotees. Yes, they want to be fit. They want to be tough and strong. But they are doing what we call sadhana, practice. So instead of bouncing a ball, what are we doing? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. You like that one, huh? Good. Very good. Yes, this is our repetitions, our reps. Prabhupada has described 1,728 minimum Hare Krishna mantras every day. That keeps you spiritually buff. All right, so the idea is practicing to be conscious of Krishna. So, say right now the big thing is football. That's the big thing right now in America. So it's all leading up to the Super Bowl. Okay, it's leading up in February. Some of you caught that, huh? I'm going to give myself a ding. All right. It always gets a laugh. I've been using that line for 25 years. It always gets a laugh. I always say, stick with the winners.
They haven't gotten smarter.
No, that's right. So, they're practicing for that big game. Or right now in Qatar, the soccer games are going on, right? They've been waiting years for this competition. So they've been practicing. So what's our Super Bowl? The time of death. That is the final exam. Can you remember Krishna? Can you think of Krishna at that final moment? And the idea is by practicing every day, when it comes, like my wife in the car, as soon as Hare Krishna. And if you can remember, we learned in chapter 8, if you can remember Krishna at the moment of death, you don't come back to San Diego or wherever. You go back home, you go to Krishna, to play with Krishna, to dance with Krishna, to be with Krishna. How many want to go? And if your hand's not raised, I got to ask you, what are you doing here? That's why we're here. Because we all want to, as Prabhupada said, back home. Right? Prabhupada is implying right there. Back. If you've never been somewhere, you can't say, oh, I'm going back to Somalia. Were you ever there? No. Well, then how can you say back? But by Prabhupada saying back to Godhead, he's inferring, hello, that's where you came from. Now it's time to get back to where you once belong. Get back. Yes. See, when you become Krishna conscious, you can see everything properly. All right. Please repeat. Machchitta sarva durgani. Mat prasadat tarishyasi. Ata chetvam ahankaram. Nasrosyasi banangshasi. If you become conscious of me, You will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. And I have to tell you, in my own life, so I started practicing Krishna consciousness in 1973. And I've had so many ups and downs and this and that and so many trials and tribulations and tests and disappointments and frustrations, but somehow or other, I don't know, I'm still here. I'm still in the fight. Thank you, Krishna. Yes, you can pass over all. I remember one day, very clearly, probably 1978, 79, I was in the deepest, darkest hell. And I was thinking, how am I going to get out of this? I've fallen down. I don't know what to do. I just started chanting. I just took shelter of Krishna, and before long, bloop, 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 I was back with the devotees. Nobody has to convince me. I know this chanting works. I know. You know, I've said this story so many times. The first day out on Sankirtan in New York, they sent me to Penn State Station. Was it Penn? Is it Penn? Penn Street, right? The famous 34th Penn Street. That's the famous, right? Yes. So I was my first day, Bhakti. Here, you have to go out and collect money on the subways. So I'm with my senior godbrother, Shatrajit. Remember him? Shatrajit? So we're at 34th Penn Street Station. All of a sudden, I feel something very sharp in my back. It was a gun or a knife, I don't know, but it was. And the guy said, "Give me your money." So I turned to my God, "What do I do?" And he said, "Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna." And the guy ran away. And I turned to my God brother and said, "This mantra really works." And I'm telling you, throughout my life, whenever I've been, you know what they say, between a rock and a hard place, with my wife, with my daughter, so many different scenarios. Ultimately, I just took shelter. I chanted Hare Krishna, and somehow or other, Krishna protected me. So, take it from me, don't doubt this chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. It works. All right. Please repeat. Yad ahankaram asritya nayotsya iti manyase mityaisha vyavasayaste. Yeah, some of these words are hard, so I'll give you a pass. Prakritistvang niyokshyati. Now Krishna gives us a warning. If you do not act according to my direction, and do not fight, because the whole purpose of Krishna speaking to Arjuna is to get him to fight. Now some people say, oh, Bhagavad-gita is a book of peace. Well, maybe, but not for Arjuna. Krishna does not want Arjuna to be peaceful. If you read Bhagavad-gita more than once, every so often, therefore get up and fight. So for Arjuna, Krishna wants Arjuna to fight, not to be Om Shanti. No, get up and fight. That's his duty. So if you do not act and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. So what's our fight? We are also fighting. What's our fight? We're fighting Maya, illusion, ignorance, the material, atheistic philosophy and culture. We are declaring, Prabhupada said, we have declared war on Maya, illusion, ignorance, atheism, It's a war. We're all warriors. We're all foot soldiers. So he's telling Arjuna, well, you may run away from this battle, but you will still wind up fighting because it's your nature. I give myself as an example. So, for me, giving a class preaching, easy. Why? Before I was a devotee, I was an entertainer in nightclubs and bars. And I had to do a one-man show with the guitar and sing and woo the audience. So I'm just applying the same principles. That's why I tell jokes. That's why I get you involved. I know how to work an audience. But now, instead of doing it for people's sense gratification, it's all for Krishna. And therefore, it's much more enjoyable. And frankly speaking, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. No, I want to do this forever. My great hero, Narada Muni, Bhajaya Veena, Radhika Ramana, Name. I love reading about Narada Muni. He goes to heaven, he goes to hell, he goes to the spiritual world. He's traveling all over. What is he doing? Preaching and singing. Yes, that's what I want to do. This is what I've found my purpose for living. Yes, my purpose for living is preach and eat for Krishna. Yes. So that's my nature. If I wasn't doing this, if I wasn't a devotee, I'd be in Las Vegas or New York. I would be doing that. So better to do it for Krishna and go back home, back to Godhead, and get prasad. Yes. Because since 1994, my main service has been going to Indian people's homes, doing Namahat programs. And so I'm very frank with the Indian people. I'm doing this because I get good food at the end. Very frank. Never been and that's been true in America. That's been true in Canada, South Africa. Yes, in Chile. Yes, I've been to so many Sindhi homes in Chile and in Panama. I've eaten in dozens of Sindhi homes where you get that bhaji and yes, wherever I've gone. Singapore. This is the best life. Krishna conscious life is the best life. As I've said many times, people ask me, oh, why did you join the Hindu religion? What do you talk? I didn't join the Hindu religion. No. My religion is chant, dance, take prasad. That's my religion. All right. We have a few more verses. Please repeat. Swabhava jena kaunteya nibaddha svena karmana kartum nechasi yanmohat karishyasi avashopitat. Continuing with the same from the previous verse. Under illusion, you are declining to act according to my direction. Because, as I've said, repeatedly throughout Bhagavad-gita, Krishna wants Arjuna to pick up the bow which he dropped in the beginning of chapter 2 or the end of chapter 1. He dropped his bow. Right? He dropped it and said, I shall not fight. So the whole theme of Bhagavad-gita has been consistent. Get up and fight. So you are now declining to act according to my direction, but compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act the same. So it's a repetition of the previous verse. Now comes one of the big verses. One of the topmost verses. Different devotees have different lists of top 10, top 25, top 50 verses. I have my own list. This is definitely in my top 25. Please repeat. Ishvara sarvabhutanang Yeah, see, a lot of you know it. Hriddeshe Arjun Tishtati Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantra Rudani Mayaya. So yantra means machine. So here in this verse, Krishna is pointing out, I am Ishwar. I am the controller. I am manipulating everything from behind the scenes. Oh, Krishna is cool, man. He does things behind the scenes. Now, where is Krishna? Is he in the eye? Is he in the stomach? Do you know where Krishna is? Besides the altar? He's in your heart. Hriddeshe. I love this concept. You can believe me or not, but when I was 5 years old, now I was not raised devotee. I was raised Roman Catholic. And I don't think they have this, I don't remember them teaching this in Our Lady of Loretto school that I went for 8 years. But at the age of 5, I remember where I was. I was sitting on the steps of my house in Long Island. And I remember at the age of 5, yes, God is in my heart. I knew that. Nobody taught me that. I just knew it. So that's why I think I've been a devotee before. And besides, how did I quickly attach myself to Sanskrit? How come when I was introduced to these clothes, I said, oh, these are so comfortable. Those tight jeans are so, ugh. But when I got devotee clothes, I said, oh, I'm free now. So there's many, and then answer me this, how come since 1994, 90% of my friends are Indian? Go figure. I have a feeling I was Hindu in my last life, but I screwed up along the way. So, but now I'm rediscovering. That's my personal, I'm entitled to my personal realization. Right? So Krishna says, I am situated in everyone's heart. I love this concept. In everyone's heart. Even, well, I won't mention his name, but you know who. Think of your evilest, like Elon Musk. Krishna's in his heart too. I know it's hard to believe. Or that orange guy, I look, I go, Krishna's in his heart? Yeah, he's in, okay. Yes, Krishna is in everyone's heart. And he is directing the wandering. Now, in Bhagavad-gita, when Krishna began his instructions, in chapter 2, he made the distinction between the body and the soul. Between the soul and the mind even. He made a distinction. And he gave the analogy, we change bodies just like we change clothes. Right? It's after some time either you get too fat or you get holes. Like my wife is always throwing out my favorite shirts because when she does the laundry, she says, this got 20 holes in it. It's time to get rid of it. Where's my shirt? But she won't let me go around looking like a slob. I have a good wife. So we change clothes. So Krishna is saying, in the same way, you change bodies. When this body is no longer usable, you'll get a new one. But not everybody gets an upgrade. Those who are pious, they get an upgrade. Those are impious, degrade. They get a not so good body. Imagine if you were driving around in a Lexus or a Mercedes, and then all of a sudden now you have to drive a Hyundai. How will you feel? Right? If you drive a Hyundai, don't take it the wrong way. That's happened to me. Why are you criticizing me, Prabhu? No, I'm just showing an analogy. So I've given a lecture on this concept. Krishna says, the soul is seated on a machine made of material energy. And so I've given a class how, just like when you drive a car, there are rules, right? So in human life, there are rules, there are laws. And if you're driving and you break the rules, you can get a ticket, right? So in the same way, if you break the laws of God, you get a ticket. It's called bad karma, right? And not everybody can drive different vehicles, right? They drive at different speeds because it's got more horsepower. So some material bodies, they excel better than other material bodies. And there are lanes, right? The faster cars drive in the left lanes, right? The slower cars. So in the same way, you can drive in the mode of ignorance, the mode of passion, the mode of goodness, or the express lane, transcendental lane. Yes, who wants to drive in the transcendental lane? Then chant the Maha Mantra. Come on. For some reason, the ladies are more fired up than the men. I don't know what it is. The men are in Maya tonight. Ladies, good for you. Next verse. Tam eva sharanang gaccha sarva bhavena bharata tat prasadat parang shanting stanang prapsyasi shasvatam. O Arjuna, scion of Bharata, surrender utterly unto the Supreme Lord situated in your heart. He just was, this is why I like Krishna. He's talking about himself in the third person. He says, the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart. But that Supreme Lord is Krishna. And the same way, surrender utterly unto that Supreme Lord. But that's Krishna, which is leading up to the conclusion. For by His grace you will attain transcendental peace, because the word was there, Shanti. Right? And the supreme and eternal abode, which He has mentioned several times. So, we are in this life, and according to Bhagavad-gita, we are trying to surrender to Krishna in the heart. Many times, everything is focused on Krishna in the heart. All right. Just 3 or 4 more verses. Are you still with me? All right. Iti te jnanam akyatang guyad guyatarang maya vamishyatad asheshena. And here is one of the most important lines in Bhagavad-gita according to Nirantara Dasa. Please repeat, everybody. Yate shasi tata kuru. This line is so important. So what is Krishna saying? Thus means conclusion. Krishna has said many things in this section. Thus, I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. In Bhagavad-gita, it began with confidential knowledge. The difference between matter and spirit. The difference between the body and the soul. The difference between what is temporary, what is eternal. That was confidential knowledge. Then later on in Bhagavad-gita, there's knowledge of supersoul, more confidential knowledge. Then in chapter 9, we were introduced to the most confidential knowledge. Knowledge of Krishna and His devotional service. But now He's saying, still more confidential. So everybody sit straight, because now we're getting the more confidential knowledge. Close the doors. We don't want any outsiders. We only want... What's that? Most. Well, the most. Because he says still more confidential, but he already explained most confidential in 9. So that's what I see. It's even more. Most. Like Krishna is perfect, more perfect than most perfect. Huh? How can something be more perfect and most perfect? That's transcendental knowledge, folks. Now, I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully. This I appreciate. It's not that Krishna has Arjuna in a headlock. Surrender! Do what I say! No. What is Krishna? Krishna is dealing with Arjuna. So now, think about it. Think it over. That is what I respect Krishna for that. He doesn't force anybody. He gives you options. In chapter 12, there's a section in the middle of chapter 12 I call the options section. He gives the topmost option. Think of me. Oh, you can't think of me? All right. Do regulated devotional service. Oh, you can't do that? Develop knowledge. You can't do this? Become... He gives, I think, 5 options. Krishna is so nice. So now Krishna is telling Arjuna, I've told you everything. Deliberate. Then, again, yate shasi tata kuru. You all, most of you know this devotee, TK, Tatikshava Karunika. I think I gave a class here a few months ago. He wrote a song. It's up to you, what you want to do. It's up to you, what you want to do. That's my version of it. He has his version, I have mine. I love this. It's up to you what you want to do. You know, there's those game shows, door number 1, door number 2, door number 3. Behind one of the doors is the grand prize. Behind the other 2 doors, right? But you have to pick. So door number 1, the mode of ignorance. He explained in Bhagavad-gita, if you choose that door, this is what to expect. Krishna explained the mode of passion. You go down that door, you can expect this. Door number 3, the mode of goodness. Very nice, you'll be elevated. But then there's the 4th door. That door was moksha, liberation, the path of bhakti. Apavarga vartmani, the path of liberation. Apavarga. So Krishna is giving us the choice. It's up to you what you want to do. Me, I made that choice on July 15th, 1973. Sunday, I remember it. One of my musician friends drove me from my home in Hempstead to Brooklyn, and all the way on the trip, he was trying to convince me, you don't want to do this. Come on, we can have a rock and roll group. We can make it. We can be the next whatever. And I said, talk to the hand. I was determined. So even though he was trying to convince me, I said no. And then he dropped me off. I knocked on the front door of, what was it? What was the number? 43? 439 Henry Street. Saved at last. Best decision I ever made in my life when I agreed to walk through those doors. Yes. All right. Please repeat. Sarva guyatamang bhuya Shrinu me paramang vachaha Ishtosi me dridham iti Tato vakshyami te hitam. Because you are my very dear friend. See how Arjuna Of all the Pandavas, Arjuna was the closest to Krishna. Now, Krishna was equal to all the Pandavas, but Arjuna was special. After all, Krishna had agreed to drive Arjuna's chariot. Wouldn't you love to have Krishna drive you to work tomorrow? You wouldn't go to work. You would tell Krishna, take me wherever you want to go. I'll go anywhere with, wouldn't you? If Krishna came to you and said, where do you want to go? And I would say, Krishna, wherever you want to take me, I'm strapped in, let's go. Jai. Because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction. So it's coming. Hold on now. Don't touch that dial. The most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. Now that's significant. Because some people have a misconception. Oh, God is some egomaniac who just wants people to bow down to him. No. Krishna, whether we surrender or not, look, Krishna's got Radharani. Krishna is already self-satisfied. Atmaram. Krishna doesn't require anyone. He demonstrated that the night of the Rasa dance. Krishna demonstrated, hello, I'm self-satisfied. I don't need you gopis, okay? I'm doing this for your benefit. So he's saying to Arjuna, I'm going to speak this knowledge to you. It is for your benefit. So when we go out and preach, and all of us somehow or other should be preaching at some level, keep in mind, when we're going out preaching, it is for the person's benefit. Just like you're a young girl. So your mommy and daddy, when they tell you things, it's for your benefit. That's why the parents love me. Because whenever I did programs in Indian homes, I would always tell the children, obey your parents, otherwise you don't get Krishna's blessings. And the parents would go, oh, this is a good Prabhuji. We like this Prabhuji. But it's true. Parents, right? Is this your daughter? Your daughter. You only have her interest at heart, correct? You love your child. And you'll do anything for your child, right? So if you tell her, don't do this or do this, it's not for you, it's for her. So Krishna, we are all Krishna's children. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, I'm now going to give you this knowledge. It's for your benefit. Here it is. 2 final verses. This verse was repeated at the end of chapter 9. So this is, as they say in Spanish, muy importante. How was that? Good? Yes. I've been to South America, so I picked up a little bit along the way. Same verse, repeated twice. I want to hear everyone, men. I want to hear you. Manmana bhava mad bhakto. Madhyaji mang namaskuru. Mame vaishyasi satyang te. Pratijane priyosi me. So, when I was in Catholic school, one of the first things you learn is the 10 Commandments. So many, many years ago at LA Temple, some Christian college group would come every year. The teacher would bring. So they would ask me, so in our Christian theology, we have 10 commandments. What commandments do you have? So one time I said, oh, we have 4. Here it is. Manmana. Always think of Krishna. Mad Bhakta. Become Krishna's devotee. Madhyaji. Worship Krishna. Mang namaskaru. Bow down and worship and love Krishna. There it is. Simple. 4 commandments. Think of Krishna. Now, it's not difficult to think of Krishna, because what does Krishna's name mean? All attractive. What is so difficult about thinking about someone who's all attractive? Every week, I do a Zoom class with devotees of Panama on Krishna book. And week after week, we are hearing exactly how attractive is Krishna. In my own life, I needed only 6 chapters of Krishna book to conclude I'm ready to surrender to Krishna. I remember that night, 12 midnight. I was so miserable, so frustrated. I had just played in the nightclub, and I said, what the hell am I doing? And I had gotten the Krishna book on the bus ride from New York to Columbus, Ohio, but I never read it. So on this night I said, where's that book? I'm going to read this book. So I sat down in my room, midnight, chapter 1, chapter 2. By 3 o'clock, chapter 6 was Krishna killed Putana. I closed the book. I'm surrendering to Prabhupada and Krishna. And so I was living with my manager, and he was an atheist. He was a pure atheist. He was also a Mensa, so he was super brilliant. So he said, well, I spent a lot of money on you, so you owe me 2 more weeks, then you can go. And for 2 weeks, he tried his best to brainwash me. He did everything. He sent women, he sent dope, he was trying everywhere, but I was determined. And as I was getting on the bus to leave, he was right there in my ear. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. You can still worship Krishna and be a musician. But I was determined. And he was right there as I get on the bus. He's like right there. And then the bus door closed. I went, saved at last. I got out of there. That was my test. He tried everything, I tell you. All right, final verse of this section. Uh-oh, I went over time. Can I finish? I'm sorry. I got carried away. I apologize. Temples don't like it when you go over time. They don't hire you back. All right, here it is. Everybody, and I mean everybody. Loudly. Sarvadharman parityaja. Now we're talking. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Ahang twang sarva papebhyo. Moksha yashyami ma shucha. So Sarvadharman parityaja, this is controversial. Krishna is saying, whatever you think is your duty, whatever you think is religion, forget about it. We say in New York, forget about it. Krishna is saying, Mam ekam sharanam vraja. To me, exclusively. Now, this word sharanam, sometimes it's translated as surrender, but I take it in another way, shelter. That's an easier word. When you say to someone, surrender, it's got like a negative. But if you tell someone, take shelter, oh, that's a much nicer word. Like the Gujaratis, their mantra, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, right? That's the Pushti Marg mantra. Yeah, I have lots of experience with Gujaratis. And South Indian, and Bengalis, and Punjabis. Lots of experience. So that's, I like to use that definition. Krishna's take shelter of me, but exclusively. not like the stock market. Okay, on Monday, I'll worship Ganesh. On Tuesday, I'll take shelter of Durga Mata. On Wednesday, I'll do Shani. And, I'll see whoever gives me what I want. No. Krishna, you like that one too, right? Yeah. All right. So here Krishna is saying, no, I want exclusive devotion. Otherwise, no Krishna. Exclusive. No woman is going to accept a husband who says, I'll take care of you sometimes. No. That's not the way it works. I remember when I got married, the priest, Nrsingananda, did my wedding. And when Nrsingananda said, and there will be no separation, my wife said, yes, there will be no separation. Yes. So Krishna wants us to completely, exclusively surrender. Now, what does Krishna agree to do? Ahang twang sarva papebhyo. I will take care of all your sinful reactions. Pretty good. It's like if you have big debt. Say you have big debt. Somebody, a benefactor comes along, I'll absorb your debt. You would be very much indebted to that person, right? So that's Krishna. Krishna takes our whole karmic bank account. All the karma that we should get, what does Krishna do? Shrinks it down, and you just get a little love tap. You were supposed to, by your karma, get your legs chopped off. Instead, somebody steps on your toe in the kirtan. You were supposed to get your head chopped off, but instead, when you're shaving, all the karmic reactions are shrunk down. You get a token. Moksha yashyami, I will deliver you. That's like when I used to go out on book distribution, Harinam, one religious group, they would come out of the woodwork whenever we were out. Are you saved? And I would say, yes, Krishna says, Moksha yashyami ma. I'm saved. I'm saved. And here comes the last instruction. Everybody say, Ma Shucha. And in the purport, Prabhupada says, it has 3 meanings. Don't hesitate. In Spanish, ahora mismo. Now. Surrender to Krishna now. Everybody say, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. You've all surrendered to Krishna. Don't hesitate. One of the meanings is, don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry. And what's the third one, Dravida Prabhu? Don't hesitate. Don't worry. Don't fear. Yes, who said that? Somebody knows Bhagavad. You get 3 dings. Very good. Don't fear. We sing that song. Abhaya Charanara Vindare. Fearless at the lotus feet of Krishna. Okay, I'm way over time. Please forgive me. May Krishna bless you, protect you, and take prasadam to your full satisfaction. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Muchas gracias.
Jai. Thank you. His Grace, Nirantara Dasa, Haribol.